The Gemara in Masechet Sachim talks about dough that is mixed with fruit juice. And the Gemara mentions the dough that is mixed with fruit juice. The Gemara says en machmitz, but there's a machloket. Rashi says that even though meperot en machmitzin, that's only in regards that you're not chayav karet, but it's still asur because it's called chametz nukshe. It's still asur because it's called chametz nukshe. Whereas, according to Tosfot, you're totally allowed to have meperot with your. You're totally allowed to have meperot with your. Should I be continuing or not?
Continue, of course.
You're allowed to have meperot totally with your dough, and there is no chashash and there is no worry that that it's chametz. Correct? Shulchan Aruch is posek in Siman Dav Samich Bet, and in other places as well. It's mefurash in the Shulchan Aruch that meperot en machmitzin, that you can have egg matzah, and therefore for Sfaradim, egg matzah is allowed. But that was the minhag. People would make egg matzah all the time in Morocco and in other places by the Sfaradim, but they would be very careful. The condition would be that since meperot en machmitzin, they would be very careful that you only have 100% fruit juice. If it's mixed even with a little bit of water, the whole thing is no good and it would be problematic. And therefore, that's why you see all those boxes that say egg matzah. They say for Sfaradim, it's allowed for Ashkenazim only in the case of sick people and others that it's a dire necessity. Otherwise, for Sfaradim, it's permitted. Rav Ovadia was asked in the year Tavshin Lamed, that's around 43 years ago. Rav Ovadia Yosef was asked to give a hechsher to a certain company called the Poposhado company that produced cookies that use flour. In other words, not matzah meal. They use flour, and they use, instead of water, they would use fruit juice. So the question is, would that be permitted, or would it be forbidden? So Rav Unterman, who was the rabbi before him in Tel Aviv, would never permit such a thing, because Rav Unterman said that he is afraid that since you have a mixture, that even one drop of water could be a problem. But what this company did was that they made sure that all of their faucets and everything around the company, there is no water flow whatsoever. There's no faucet water whatsoever. Everything is wine and everything is grape juice. And that's what flows through the taps. No water whatsoever. And since there's no water whatsoever, so there's no chashash whatsoever. So Rav Ovadia Yosef was asked, should that be that they give a hechsher on it? And Rav Ovadia Yosef says he's willing to permit it, as long as they have a very good hechsher, because as long as they have a very good hechsher, they know that nothing wrong can happen. Okay, so that's what they said regarding the Poposhados. Comes along Rabbi Bakshi Doron, who was one of the chief rabbis of Israel, and he wrote a teshuvah, and it's printed in a sefer Binyan Av. But he wrote in the teshuvah around 13 years ago. These Poposhado cookies, in his opinion, are chametz, or a chashash chametz. Why? Because there is a certain material that they put in over there, which is we would call it I think in English, I mean I might be mistaken, it's sodium bisulfate, which is a certain type of ingredient that you put in there, and that ingredient causes the cookie to expand. So he said, what do you mean? That's mamash like an agent that makes the dough rise. So that's for sure biyasur. If it's only grape juice or wine together with this cookie, it would be okay. With the flour, it would be okay. I agree. Maybe. Even that he says not so sure. He has other issues. I'm not going to get into that. But since these cookies you could have with it this agent that makes the dough rise, it's mamash a problem. Rav Ovadia Yosef says no. he holds that it's still permitted. Why? It says there's a very big fundamental difference between the leavening ingredient that they use and yeast, which is forbidden. Yeast, which is seor in the Torah, is really sourdough that causes a chemical reaction that causes the flour itself to rise. Machmit. That's called chametz. Whereas this sodium bisulfate, it doesn't cause the dough to rise. On the contrary, what it's doing is that it's just spitting air into the whole cookie, and it's just making air pockets. That's what it's doing. It's releasing gas, and it's making air pockets. So, for example, let's say you have matzah, and you put in a pipe that's going to blow air in the matzah. Nothing wrong with that. It's not called chametz. Chametz is something that's making it rise. And one of the big discussions is based on Tosfot in Masechet Psachim. The Chok Yaakov actually discusses this Tosfot that brings down what would happen if you put in dregs of wine. You know what the dregs are? They're the leftover grapes that were used, and you use those as part of the mipirot. So the Chok Yaakov brings a discussion about this, and the Chok Yaakov, one of the famous Acharonim, says that the shmarim, that if you have shmarim over there, they're able to make the dough rise. And you see from over here that even if it's mifirot, it doesn't matter. Anything that makes the dough rise is forbidden. So says Rav Bakshi Doron, so do over here. Anything that at the end of the day is going to make the dough rise is going to be forbidden. Rav Avad Yosef says no. He found a Or Sameach, which was one of the great Acharonim, Rav Meir Simcha Midvinsk, that says that Tosfot is only talking about that we're talking about dough that has water in it already, and then you added on these dregs. Then you have a problem because you have the water and the dregs. That can make the dough rise. That's a problem. But just something on its own that can make the dough rise, said that would be an issue. So therefore, Rav Yosef comes out to permit it, and so too he brings down Rav Shlomo Amar, who also says that it was permitted, and that's what they come out with. Now the issue with this is that the Pashtut, the way to learn Tosfot, is not that way. Pashtut, the way to learn that the dregs of the wine, Zasur, is according to the Chok Yaakov, is that it's making it rise. They say in the name of Rav Mordechai Eliyahu that he held that the Poposhado cookies were Hametz Gamur. That he wouldn't allow them in the house at all. It was considered for Hametz Gamur. So, and because there's a rising agent that's with it. I heard from other Rabbanim Mumchim that have been to the plant that have seen other things in the koshering wise that they weren't so happy with. Also, could be that they fixed that. So I don't know, but I know regarding the ingredients, there are many Loleh, Torah, Mordechai Zatzal, Bakshi Doron, and others that held there's serious issues regarding the Poposhado cookies, regarding that they could be considered Hametz, although Rav Avad Yosef and Rabbi Shlomo Amar both hold that it's permitted. I would think that since we are so machmir regarding everything on Pesach, this is not just a question whether it's kitniyot or whether it's not kitniyot, whether we hold the rice or whether we don't hold the rice. This is a question of Hametz Mamash, more than a kezait of Hametz Mamash. Since you have some opinions that tell you that it could be a very big problem, I would think that if it's not necessary, it's not necessary, and you are not a total, you are not obligated to have such things. So it's kedai on Pesach. We're all machmir. We should be machmir regarding this. That is the opinion of that is the opinion of the Sfaradi poskim that I mentioned. Now, coming to Chachmim Morocco, they had a very similar question that Rabbi Yehuda ibn Attar spoke about. Rabbi Yehuda ibn Attar was named El Kabir, the famous Rav. He was one of the Sar HaMaskimin, one of those who gave a haskama to the Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. I heard a story from Rabbi Shlomo Amar, the chief rabbi Shlita. He said that when Rabbi Chaim ben Attar came to get a haskama, to get an approbation for his sefer, So Rabbi Chaim ben Attar wrote, they were very careful in Morocco that they don't give titles just like that. Nowadays, everybody's called an Abba Gaon, a Gadol, a Nura. They were very, very careful to give titles whatever they would feel the title was. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Attar, Kabir, he's buried in Fez, and many people go to him for Yeshuot, to his kever, and he was the Gadol Ador. Then Rabbi Chaim ben Attar went, and he wasn't well known in the world yet the way he is nowadays, probably the most well-known Moroccan Chacham that there is in the world, and he came to get a Haskama on the Sefer. Chaim ben Attar wrote, Chav Heresh Keharav. Chaim ben Attar. So Chaim ben Attar said, if people are not going to buy it, I'm not, add on the mem, Kemoreno Harav. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Attar said, I gave you Kehar Hashem, Keheresh, and you want Kemohar HaBetulah? So that was the story between it. So Yehuda ben Attar has a teshuvah regarding a certain food that they had in Morocco, which is called a trid. I don't exactly know what it is, but he writes in a teshuvah. This teshuvah is printed in a couple of places. One of the places is in Mishpat Tzedakah B'Yaakov, that they discuss this trid, which is basically, I'm just going to mention what it is. They have salt that they put inside dough, and they're like these little crackers. So regarding putting salt inside dough, the Shulchan Aruch writes in Siman Taf Nun Hey Se'iv Hey, Nohagin shelo liten melach b'matzah v'nachon hadavar. It's better not to put. Nohagin, minhag is not we're accustomed not to put salt on the matzah and the baking. That is, afterwards you can do whatever you want, right? Why? Because it could cause it to rise. V'nachon hadavar, and it's proper. And the Ramah says not only that, you should forbid it. So he brings down that they would do such a thing, but at the end of the day, it's better not to. He brings the Shulchan Aruch that says not to, and he brings the Ramah as well, that it could be that it's a problem. And he says Rov Talmidei Chachamim that are careful in this, they're careful that they should make all of these cakes without any salt, and that would be the proper thing. But he says he doesn't know that most of the city still makes these cakes that have the salt in them, and libonuk papas, and it's problematic. He said it's problematic, and therefore he says like this. He answers, Po Fez, in the city of Fez. This is talking about in the 1700s. And none of the Chachamim permitted it, even though people used to make it with b'shefa. Nobody would permit it. ולא במלח ולא בעל מורק שטוחים ועורכים אותה בשמן, and also those that they would put on oil on them. כי המלח לא ישמק לה בגוננו. We wouldn't put salt at all, and that's not the proper thing. Al morak, there's another type of food called a morak that Rabbi Mimon Aflalo would make them on Chol HaMoed. They also wouldn't be happy with it. But al tarid, with the salt, that we forbid it all. It could be in your places they have that. By us, we didn't let it. We didn't give the hashgacha on it. So you can understand that this is also a machloket, so we kept away from it because we were machmir. Now, Rav Ovadia Yosef has a question in the next siman in Yavia Omer, Chelik Tet, siman men Gimel. He was asked, Rabbi Shimon Biton, who was the Rav of Bet Shemesh, and he was asked on a certain company that would make egg matzah. By mistake, they put in some salt in there. B'diavad, what's the halacha? So Rav Ovadia Yosef has a whole discussion. He said, since Maran HaShulchan Aruch says, Nohagim lo liten, b'diavad, if you did, it's okay. B'diavad, he permitted it. Why did he permit it b'diavad? Because he said at the end of the day, the Shulchan Aruch that says b'diavad, it's okay. Furthermore, the Mishnah Berurah himself writes that it could be the salt nowadays is different. The Mishnah Berurah writes the reason why the salt can be different is because our salt is from water. Efshar de'en le'esor b'diavad. It could be they had salt that was coming from maybe the rocks or something like that, it was a little bit different. But our salt is coming from the water, so it could be it's more lenient. Al kol panim, Al kol panim, Rav Ovadia said it's mutar. But according to these poskim, I don't know if they would agree, but with the Avad, it seems to be that they took upon themselves this Ramah, the Chumrah of the Ramah. We can understand why. Because Isur Chametz, they took it to the full extent. So that's also something quite important to remember. Let's discuss one more thing. There's a very interesting question that I saw in the Sefer Vizot Yehuda, which is Rabbi Yehuda Toledano. I mentioned his name beforehand. He lived also a good 200 years ago. And he had a question like this. Many times, rice, we're no heg not to eat it. But there were some people that checked their rice and they ate it. There was people like that, let's say. Even though the minhag, overwhelming minhag is not to eat rice, some people still ate it. And rice and wheat is very similar. That's one of the reasons why forbid it. They found a piece of wheat. And this happens a lot by those who are mekil by rice. They find the wheat. So with the avad, you would think it's totally asur. He came up with a tremendous kula. I'll tell you a story. I once in Los Angeles, I was very close to the Persian community, and speaking of the Persian community, I remember they told me that there was a certain family in Iran that they had their whole family over on Lil Pesach. And they found that there was a piece of a kernel of wheat inside the rice. And they went, and the whole family was there waiting. And by them, rice was a big thing. And the Rav forbade it. And they got so upset, they all converted to Islam. And they all know the family today. They're a family of Islam. He comes out, he has a tremendous kula. Our time is up, so I'm going to say very quickly that a tremendous way. He says, number one, it's called davar sheyesh lo matin. The reason why chametz b'Pesach is asur b'mashu is because it's eventually going to become permitted. There's one opinion like that. Davar sheyesh lo matirin, davar min b'she'enu mino. If it's not the same min, it's batel. And another thing he could say is a very tremendous kula, is because over here the chita was already installed in water, so it could be b'diavad that doesn't become chametz. We don't have time, but it's an interesting thing that he had a kula. Don't be so mech on this. Just I'm mentioning interesting halakha. Okay, we learned a little bit today, despite the technical difficulties. Love it.